Welcome to another awesome conversation by the Dog Mind Gears podcast. In this episode, we will talk about the cultural beliefs and amazing myths about the dogs in the afterlife.
I am so excited to jump into this one.
Me too. And let me just say, if you are listening to this right now, maybe you're commuting or maybe you're out walking your own furry best friend, we are so glad you are here to join us.
It's a great topic to listen to with your dog nearby, for sure.
Totally. So for this deep dive, we are pulling apart a truly fascinating article by Simon Tracy from Dogzilla magazine. And the mission, really, of our deep dive today is to explore the timeless, almost godlike connection humans have with dogs.
Which is such a massive, spanning topic.
It really is. We're going to track exactly how they went from ancient deities and psychopomps, which are essentially guides for human souls, all the way to becoming the beloved couch potatoes we know today.
The evolution is just incredible to look at.
Right. Okay, let's unpack this. Because what we are really talking about is an exploration of why our connection to dogs feels so, transcendent. Like, why does looking into a dog's eyes feel like looking at something ancient?
Well, hello to you listening, and it's great to be here to dig into this material because when you look at the research Simon Tracy has compiled, what's truly fascinating is how this bond appears in completely disconnected civilizations all over the globe.
Like cultures that never even met.
Exactly. We are talking about societies separated by vast oceans, thousands of years of history, cultures that never interacted at all. Yet, independently, they all looked at the dog and decided, yes, this animal is our bridge to the divine.
It's like a universal instinct.
It is. It is a universal human phenomenon that speaks volumes about the psychology of our ancestors.
Right. And before we look at how we mourn or honor our pets today, we have to look back at how those ancient societies viewed them.
Because they definitely weren't treating them just as cute pets.
No, not at all. They saw them as literal gods. But here is the part of the source material that really stopped me in my tracks. These iconic dog gods didn't actually start out as gods of death.
They didn't, which is wild to think about. When we think of dogs in ancient mythology, our minds immediately go to the afterlife.
Of course. Like the Egyptian stuff.
Right. We think of Anubis, the famous dog-headed or jackal-headed god of ancient Egypt who oversaw mummification. Or we think of Hecate in ancient Greek mythology.
Oh, yeah, the goddess of the underworld.
Exactly. She was linked to the underworld and was always depicted with these fierce canine companions at her side to, help lead souls in the dark. But the article points out a really surprising fact. Neither Anubis nor Hecate started as underworld figures.
Wait, really? What were they before?
Originally, both of them were deities connected to childbirth and fertility.
Okay, wait, childbirth and fertility. I have to pause you there because that feels like a massive leap.
It does seem like a huge jump.
I mean, it's like they had a massive career change from pediatricians to spiritual tour guides. How does a culture make that jump? From bringing life into the world to managing the dead? And more importantly, why dogs?
That is the big question.
Yeah, why were dogs chosen for this specific evolution in human mythology?
What's fascinating here is, think about it from the perspective of an ancient human. To the ancient mind, birth and death are not actually opposites. They are the exact same mechanism.
Oh, interesting. How so?
They are both thresholds. When a child is born, they are crossing a threshold from the great unknown into our world. And when someone dies, they cross that exact same boundary back out into the unknown.
Ah, okay. I see where you're going with that.
Right. And what is the fundamental job of a dog?
Well, they guard the door. Like they bark when someone approaches the house.
Exactly. They guard the boundary. Imagine our ancestors sitting around a campfire thousands of years ago. The firelight represents safety, life, the known world.
And outside of that is just terror.
Precisely. The darkness beyond the fire represents predators, danger, and the terrifying unknown. The dog is the only creature that stands right on that edge, half in the light, half in the dark, protecting the humans from whatever is out there.
Oh, wow. That is such a powerful image.
It really is. So as society's concept of the afterlife became more complex, this shift from birth deities to afterlife guides was actually incredibly natural. It reflects humanity's eternal respect for dogs as protectors at the absolute boundaries of human experience.
I'm tracking with you now. They are the ultimate threshold crossers. They can navigate that space between the wild and the tame, the known and the unknown.
You nailed it.
So if you're an ancient human and you're terrified of dying, you obviously want the creature that barks at the shadows to walk beside you into the ultimate shadow.
Exactly, the mechanism at play. And the term for this, which the article uses, is psychopomp. It comes from Greek, meaning guide of souls.
Psychopomp, I love that word.
It's a great word, but depending on the culture, the specific job description of that canine guide varied wildly.
Yeah, and that brings up a really interesting divide in the research. Because once the dog became established as the ultimate threshold crosser, different cultures gave them very different jobs once you actually crossed over.
They really did.
Like some dogs in the afterlife are there to help you, but some were definitely there to stop you.
Right. We see two very distinct archetypes emerge in mythologies across cultures, the guardian and the guide.
Okay, let's talk about the guardian first.
So if we look at ancient Greek mythology, we find the ultimate guardian, which is Cerberus. He is the terrifying, multi-headed dog who stands watch at the entrance to Hades.
Right, the classic three-headed dog.
Yes. And his job is strictly enforcement. He is not there to help you find your way. He is there to ensure that once a soul enters the underworld, it never escapes.
So Cerberus is basically the terrifying underworld bouncer keeping people in, while Xolotl, the Aztec dog god mentioned in the text, is the VIP host showing you to your table.
Well, it's a bit more treacherous than a VIP host, but the contrast is absolutely real. In Aztec mythology, Xolotl is an active, vital guide.
How so? What was his job?
The Aztecs believed the journey through the underworld, which was called Mictlan, involved crossing a massive, incredibly dangerous river called the Apanhuayo.
Oh, that sounds intense.
Very intense, and Axolotl was there to actively assist the souls of the deceased, helping them navigate the churning waters and the obstacles along the way.
So he was essential to survival.
Completely. Without Axolotl, your soul would drown or be lost forever. He wasn't keeping you trapped like Cerberus. He was ensuring you survived the journey.
I love that. And, if you're listening to this and you've ever seen a Squintly, the Mexican hairless dog, you are looking at a breed that traces its lineage and its very name back to those ancient beliefs about Axolotl.
It's a living piece of mythology.
It really is. But it begs a question. Why are these interpretations so different? Like, why does one culture see a terrifying prison guard and another sees a loyal river guide?
It highlights a deeply shared human understanding of the dog's dual nature. Think about the dogs living in early human camps. On one hand, you have the fiercely protective, heavily territorial, almost intimidating aspect of a dog that perfectly translates into Cerberus.
Right, the guard dog barking at strangers.
Exactly. On the other hand, you have the unerringly loyal, comforting aspect of a dog that follows you through dangerous terrain, which is Axolotl. Humanity basically took the two fundamental, observable traits of the animals sleeping in their camps and projected them onto the cosmos.
That makes so much sense. So we've painted this picture of dogs as these cosmic threshold guardians or like comforting guides for the soul.
Right.
But if that's the universal truth, why do we have an entire subset of folklore where seeing a dog in the dark means you're about to die?
Ah, yes, the dark side.
Yeah. How do we go from the helpful Xolotl to terrifying hellhounds? Because the source material gets into the dark side of dog myths, and it's pretty spooky.
It is spooky. The folklore surrounding death is rarely completely comforting because, well, death itself is terrifying.
Fair point.
In many European and American traditions, we see the emergence of the hellhound, or the legend of the black dog. Throughout history, sightings of these massive, ghostly black canines with glowing eyes were interpreted as omens of impending doom.
So they weren't guiding you anywhere.
No, they weren't there to guide you. They were harbingers. If you saw one on a dark road, it meant your time was up.
The article specifically mentions Central American folklore with this creature called the Cadeo.
Yes, the Cadeo is a perfect example.
And the Cadeo is fascinating because it comes in two forms. There's an evil, usually black Cadeo, that lures individuals to their demise in the night. But then there's a good white Cadeo that serves as a protector to guide travelers home safely.
Exactly, two sides of the same coin.
Wait, so the same species is both the ultimate good and the ultimate evil. That feels a bit convenient. It's wild that the Cadeo represents both the ultimate good and ultimate evil in one species. It sounds like we aren't just telling stories about dogs, but projecting our own moral fears onto them.
It is a projection, but it is not arbitrary. The dog acts as the perfect canvas for humanity to express its deepest fears and greatest hopes regarding morality, precisely because of its biology.
Because they used to be wolves.
Exactly. Remember, dogs are domesticated wolves. They carry the wild predator inside them even when they are sleeping at the foot of our bed.
That is true. They still have those teeth.
Right. The evil cadeo luring people into the dark represents our ancient, ingrained fear of the untamed wilderness, the predator stalking the night, and the chaotic nature of death.
And the good one.
The good cadeo represents the firelight, the safety of the tribe, and domestic loyalty. The symbolic difference between good and evil canine figures is just humans wrestling with the fact that nature can be incredibly cruel, but also deeply comforting.
That makes the mythology so much more layered. But, what does this all mean for the people who actually lived back then?
What do you mean?
Because it's one thing for us to sit here and analyze a scary story about a hellhound or a comforting story about Rixolotl's psychological projection, but ancient people truly believed this.
Oh, absolutely. They believed it to their core.
Right. It wasn't just literary analysis for them, and we know this because they left physical proof in the ground.
We have hard physical evidence of how heavily they relied on these beliefs. Recent archaeological research gives us a tangible look at how vital dogs were to ancient society's concept of death.
Tell us about Dr. Tourigny.
Yes, the article highlights the work of Dr. Eric Tourigny, an archaeologist who has conducted extensive research on the actual skeletal remains of dogs found in ancient human burial sites.
I want to push on this a bit, because finding a dog buried near a human doesn't automatically mean it's a spiritual guide, right?
That's a fair skepticism.
Couldn't it just be that someone's pet died around the same time they did? Or, I don't know, maybe the family just buried the household pet with the owner out of sentimentality? How do we know it was a sacred mythological practice?
This raises an important question, and it comes down to the patterns in the data. Dr. Turing's analysis reveals that these weren't just random household pets buried haphazardly.
Okay, so what did they find?
The dogs placed in these ancient graves were carefully and deliberately selected based on specific traits. Archaeologists look at the bone structures and can determine that certain burials required dogs of a very specific size or specific physical characteristics, depending on what the culture believed the dog needed to do in the afterlife.
So if they were picking specific traits, does that mean they were basically packing a specific type of spiritual bodyguard for the afterlife?
Essentially, yes.
Like, I need a massive Mastiff-type dog to fight off underworld demons.
Yeah.
Or I need a small, swift hound to navigate the narrow paths of the underworld.
Yes, the archaeological data strongly suggests the choice of dog was tied directly to cultural beliefs about their utility in the next world.
That is so wild.
It is. The placement of the bones shows they weren't discarded like food waste or mere property. They were laid out with reverence, treated with a venerated status. We even see this at the very top of ancient hierarchies.
Oh, like the pharaohs.
Exactly. Look at the Anubis shrine found in the tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun.
Right. They found mummified dogs and elaborate canine-themed artifacts sealed right there in the tomb with the pharaoh.
The effort, the immense resources, and the sheer devotion it takes to expertly mummify an animal and place it in a royal pyramid is staggering.
It's not just a casual burial in the backyard.
Not at all. It is physical proof that ancient Egyptians believed dogs were absolutely essential. To a pharaoh, a dog wasn't just a pet. It was spiritual insurance for eternity.
That level of devotion is wild to think about. But let's fast forward a bit, because obviously things changed. We don't build mummification shrines for our dogs anymore.
Thankfully, no.
Yeah, if you're listening right now, you probably aren't planning to build a pyramid for your golden retriever. But the text makes it clear that our need to honor them in death hasn't faded. So how did we get from Anubis and a pyramid to burying a dog in the backyard?
Well, we can trace a gradual but profound transformation of the dog's role in society. For centuries, dogs retained this heavy spiritual aura. Even in ancient Greece, dogs were associated with the Eleusinian mysteries.
What were those?
They were these highly secretive, torch-lit religious cult initiations where dogs were viewed as agents of purification.
Oh, wow. Still very mystical then.
Very mystical. But as human societies industrialized and modernized, our daily relationship with dogs shifted. They moved from being working animals guarding the perimeter to being invited inside the house.
They became family.
Exactly. They transitioned into beloved domestic companions, offering emotional support and unconditional love. And as their role in life changed, how we mourned them in death changed too.
The article notes that the first public pet cemetery opened in the late 1800s. which, in the grand scheme of human history, is incredibly recent.
It is very recent.
Why the 1800s? What changed in society that suddenly made us say, we need a dedicated public park just to bury our dogs?
The Victorian era in the 1800s brought a massive cultural shift in how people viewed domesticity and sentimentality. Animals were no longer just tools for farming or hunting. They were recognized as individual members of the family with personalities.
And when a family member dies, you grieve.
Precisely. And you need a socially recognized way to process that grief. The establishment of pet cemeteries provided that. It gave people a legitimate physical space to mourn an animal without society telling them they were being foolish.
And if you walk through a modern pet cemetery today, you see these gravestones with incredibly heartfelt messages. To my best friend, or wait for me at the bridge.
It's very moving to see.
It really is. In a way, a modern pet cemetery is really just today's version of the Anubis shrine. We're still creating sacred spaces to make sure they're safe in the next world.
That is the core psychological mechanism at work. The loss of a dog is profoundly emotional. Psychologists know that the grieving process for a pet can be just as intense and sometimes more complicated than mourning a human relative.
Especially because they are so integrated into our daily routines.
Yes, especially during holidays or quiet evenings when their physical absence leaves a massive void in the home. These modern rituals, the headstones, the dedicated cemeteries, the urns on the mantle, they satisfy the exact same human need that the ancient Egyptians or Aztecs felt.
We just need to know they are okay.
Right. We need a physical place to connect, to validate the immense weight of our grief, and to assure ourselves that our dogs are okay after they leave us.
It is incredibly validating to hear that. For anyone listening who has lost a dog and felt overwhelmed by the grief, you aren't overreacting. You are mourning a bond that our ancestors considered literally divine.
It's a very real, very deep loss.
Which brings us to the final, ultimate question that humans have been asking since the Aztecs. A question that still dominates our culture today. Do dogs go to heaven?
It remains a subject of deep contemplation and even theological debate. We've seen how ancient cultures had zero doubt that dogs guided souls to the underworld. But in our modern world, the question still persists.
And it even reaches the highest levels of religion now.
Yes, the source material notes that religious figures, including Pope Francis, have sparked major discussions about this recently. His comments suggesting that animals, including dogs, may have a place in heaven, have challenged traditional Catholic teachings.
Because historically, the church said animals didn't have immortal souls.
Exactly. Historically, the teaching argued they did not have immortal souls, so his comments were a pretty big departure.
When Pope Francis said that, it made global headlines. But frankly, it feels like Pope Francis and pop culture are just confirming what pet owners have instinctively believed since ancient Egypt, that a bond this strong can't just end.
I think you're absolutely right about that.
I mean, think of the cultural impact of movies like All Dogs Go to Heaven. That idea of reuniting brings so much solace to grieving pet parents. We just fundamentally reject the idea of a universe where we don't get to see them again.
Because to accept that would be to deny the depth of the connection. Whether it's a scholar studying the bone placements in a 3,000-year-old grave, or a modern pet owner finding comfort in a movie title, the underlying truth is identical.
The bond is just undeniable.
It is. Humans seek comfort in imagining dogs in heaven today because the bond we share with them completely transcends time, culture, and religious boundaries. The enduring legacy of these canine deities isn't just locked away in history books or museum exhibits.
It's sitting right next to us.
Yes, it is alive right now, biologically and psychologically, in every person who loves a dog.
It really is one unbroken chain. From Hecate's crossroads to the Aztec rivers to a headstone in a modern pet cemetery. It definitely makes you look at the dog sleeping on your couch a little differently.
It certainly shifts your perspective. And it leaves us with something profound to consider based on everything we've unpacked today. We know our ancestors firmly believed dogs could see the barrier between the living and the dead.
Right. The threshold crossers.
So, the next time your dog is staring intently at an empty corner of the room or barking at a shadow, ask yourself, are they just being a goofy pet? Or are they seeing that boundary between worlds that our ancestors were so convinced they could navigate?
Thanks for listening today, and for more information, I want to redirect you to the original source article by Dogzilla magazine at dogzilla.com. It's always a delight for us as doggies to visit the online dog park for curious pet parents called Dogzilla.